Hi, and welcome to SPE Live and today's Tech Talk, CTDirect solution in challenging underbalanced coiled tubing drilling projects, sponsored by Schlumberger. Joining me shortly is Saeed Mohammed Fahim Uddin. We are going to be talking about how underbalanced coiled tubing drilling operations offer a fast and efficient and effective intervention method for well workovers, in particular in mature fields, boosting reservoir contact and production values. My name is Kunos Korksalo, and it's my pleasure to be your host for today. And if you're new to SPE Live, check us out on social media, hashtag SPE Live, or find us on SPE.org. We have a busy schedule of SPE Lives coming your way over the next week. Sunday, we're talking with the IEA about energy market outlooks through 2021. And we continue the Tech Talk theme around well interventions all next week, Monday through Thursday, as we lead up to the virtual well intervention conference being held on 22nd to 25th of March. Highlights next week include well ranging and interception, proactive intervention methods and technologies, and transforming stimulation operations through well interventions. Now, look out for all that on social media, and you can also check all our 2020 content for free. Go to our website on SPE.org or search on social media under hashtag SPE Live. Enjoy at your leisure. There's a lot of really good stuff there, all for free. So please make use of all this great information. Now, let's meet our guest for today, Saeed Mohammed Fahim Uddin. Fahim is the acoustics and reservoir product champion with Schlumberger Drilling and Measurements product line. He joined Schlumberger in 2006, filling various roles across operations management, auditing and compliance, and internal controls. His current area of focus is technical marketing of LWD acoustics, seismic and reservoir technologies, and anticipating and meeting client demands across various spectrums within those portfolios. Fahim, welcome to SPE Live.
Thank you, Niels. Thank you to SPE Foundation for giving me this opportunity to introduce our technology to the market.
Oh, thank you. It's been a pleasure to meet with you today and to talk about coiled tubing operations. So just a reminder to our audience, I'm quite sure many of you have questions or comments regarding well interventions, workovers, coiled tubing, and underbalanced operations. So please share. We're awaiting your comments. So fingers on buzzers and keyboards, share your questions with us through the chat boxes. Now, Fahim, let's get us going. How do you see the market for coiled tubing drilling at the moment?
Thanks, Niels. Through the talk of lower for longer oil prices over the last couple of years, there's been a lot of focus on maturing fields about how to bring them back from declining production. So we all understand that when fields have been producing for a while, there will be natural decline in production. There will be water cuts, there will be other issues. And a lot of operators have to go to workover. The cost of workover can be significant for any operator, and this is why coiled tubing drilling can be a viable alternative for them to meet their objectives, especially in today's cost-sensitive environment. So we've seen more and more operators lately exploring the coiled tubing drilling option, and we've received interests and inquiries from multiple geographies, including Southeast Asia, Europe, Middle East, South America, and of course the USA. So we believe the trend is catching on. Now, for certain projects and for certain geographies, it can make more sense. So coiled tubing can be very useful strategy in situations where you have difficulty in access. You can have footprint issues, or you can have environmentally sensitive areas where you cannot go and have a big rig or a big operation. So generally, coiled tubing is a very compact footprint solution. So that can be one reason why the market can evolve in this direction. And the other scenarios could be where the production zone is difficult to access. So short radius drilling is a very obvious example where clients can go with the conventional short radius, but again, if they have other limitations, coiled tubing drilling is one obvious reason for them to use.
Great. So that's sort of good to see that's the market as you're anticipating it. So obviously mature assets are a significant portion of oil and gas assets currently, which is what you've just mentioned there, where operators begin to look at utilizing this technology. So what are some of the enablers of effective coiled tubing drilling operations, and maybe what are some of the bottlenecks?
So thanks for bringing it up, Niels. I think this is very important to get it out early. So when it comes to coiled tubing drilling, it is like any other complex project. It has a lot of costs to fit in for a successful execution. It is it's mostly integrated work where you have to bring in a lot of product lines and a lot of let's say capabilities together, and then to make them efficiently work, you need strong project management. So I think it all starts with bringing a fit for purpose coiled tubing drilling unit or a rig. Now, again, depending on your footprint and depending on your applications, you will have to, as an operator, you will have to decide what's best for you and then engage. So the length of the laterals, the TVD, so you need to decide which coil you need, what is the weight, and how it will fit on the operating unit. Now, Schlumberger offers the state-of-the-art automated and modular CTD rigs that can be, built up together very quickly, moved together very quickly. Again, footprint is of essence. If you have a lot of wells in congested areas and you want to have, you want to be able to rig up quickly and then move quickly, then these modular or small footprint rigs can be very useful. Then we talked about underbalance. We talked about underbalance, and I've touched upon this a few times during this presentation because, again, once you have production that is ongoing, you don't want to waste it by cutting it off and then doing a workover. If possible, you would want to continue that production, and this is where underbalance comes into play. And where you can keep your production and get your surface reservoir expansion. So if you want that, you will have to do it under balance. And for drilling under balance, you need to have very good pressure surface separation package. So that is also something very critical that you will need to decide very early on. Then we move to drilling, right? Which is again, where the rubber meets the road. So if you enable drilling these wells, you need a modern coiled tubing drilling BHA. Now we have coiled tubing drilling is not coiled tubing. Let's say it's not new. And interventionist drilling is also not new, but to really go to those challenging reservoirs which have been drilled and which have TVDs, let's say in excess of 10,000 feet or 3,000 meters, you need BHAs that can drill with control, that can provide the measurements that you need, and which can provide the directional control to deliver these results. So, and another important aspect of this is the real-time data that you need to take those decisions and to understand what the information that you're getting. So this would be very useful if you can get these things together and you can decide on these early on. Now,
I was going to say, so in addition to those enablers there that you're talking about, obviously, mature assets, lower lifting cost per barrel is a primary focus for many operators. What are the main value drivers for using coiled tubing drilling that you just mentioned now? Can you sort of elaborate on that?
Right. So again, I think when the discussion turns to value, this is where I think I'm very, very excited by the discussions that are centered around value, because this is where you can really differentiate between options and solutions, and can decide what's best for for an operating company. So if you see my slide here, I've tried to establish where it can be a win-win situation for operators. So for re-entry drilling, so if you have already drilled these sections, and if you want to do this kind of workover, first of all, you can avoid the time and cost-intensive operation of pulling production tubing. If you have already put these completions, then if you have to stop production, pull it out, then go back, sidetrack, and then drill, that is already a week off, right? So now if you can go through that tubing with the slim BHA, then this is already you're saving a lot of time, and there's a lot of efficiency in that. Then as we talked about underbalanced drilling, if you can go underbalanced, that you continue production, and then you do not damage the formation. You eliminate invasion, you minimize the skin damage, and then you also decrease the fluid and stimulation costs. So all of this put together brings those efficiencies of scale. And then by landing the well early, and by staying in the production zone or reservoir zone for longer, you also increase your reservoir exposure, so that can give you extra production. So all of these are the value drivers that make coiled tubing drilling a very compelling sort of operation and option for operators.
Thanks. So now some of our audience may want to share their sort of experiences with coiled tubing operations and also underbalanced operations. So for a client with no prior coiled tubing drilling history, what factors are important to consider starting such a project?
Oh, good that you brought it up, because this is one of the questions that is sort of paramount in every discussion we have. And a lot of operators, as I mentioned, we have had interest and advanced inquiries from a lot of places across the globe. And this is where the biggest hurdle comes in, where people or the operators are not very used to of this kind of operation. So footprint and sensitivity of the environment, as I mentioned, this is where the first limitation of any conventional project comes in. So this is where clients have to understand that if they have some of these limitations, they may want to choose, decide between conventional or coiled tubing drilling. Then there could be some regulatory or requirements across the ecosystem. For example, in one of our clients brought up a very interesting point. They said that in that country they had some transportation requirements where the height of the truck that was taking the coiled tubing reels to the well site couldn't be higher than a certain number, let's say 15 feet or 5 meters, because of the overhead cables and stuff. So they had to go with the coil, which was a certain OD, so that the overall height of the coil was under a certain limit. And this is where limitations comes in right away. Then, as an operator, do you have any in-house expertise in drilling engineering, in coiled tubing project execution, or otherwise? Schlumberger is the only service company in the industry that offers one turnkey solution, a one-stop shop for all of these services. So you may want to go for integrated performance management and ask the service company to handle this for you, or you could call them for 1, 2, or 3 of these capabilities. Let's say they can bring the rig and they can bring the BHA, and then you can get the pressure management or project management or performance management on your own. Another thing is, most of, as I said, most of these fields are brown fields. They may have a lot of wells that have already been drilled. So do you have the survey data? Do you have survey understanding, anti-collision concerns? If you're going underbalanced, do you have the pressure data? Some of our fields have had very high H2S, which is, as you understand, is toxic. And then you need to have very good safety protocols to drill in these areas. So do you have that understanding? And since if they are mature fields, most of the operators should have that data. On top of that, have you done a feasibility study, and do you really understand if this works out for you? We can help you drill a well on paper. It's an exercise that Schlumberger does, where we can get all these things arranged for you, and then we can run through an exercise where we can show you how and what how this can be feasible for you, and what capabilities or options you need to put ahead of the start date, and how far ahead to make it successful.
So just to sort of add on to that, as an additional question, so is there a substantial difference between land and offshore-based coiled tubing operations, or are the steps pretty much the same? And so, localization is different?
I think the most important difference would be in the supply chain, right? So offshore, as you understand, you need to have all those capabilities first in a very, very small area. Some of our operators have told us that their limitations to pick up a BHA are no more than, if they have only a space of 10 meters. And so the ecosystem needs to be able to support your operation. Maybe you need to bring a very small unit, and also design your BHA in a way that it is just the minimum that you need. In land operations, you get a bit more flexibility in terms of expanding yourself. You can have the injector head as per your liking, or you can do some modification to the rig. Apart from that, again, in offshore, sometimes it is platform drilling. The wells are very close together, so getting a well out, or getting back into an existing hole can be challenged, and anti-collision can be a major concern.
Okay, thanks, Fahim. So you've been mentioning here, in terms of the drilling applications, a core component of that is the BHA. So can you tell us a little bit about the key features of Schlumberger's CTDirect BHA?
Right. Thanks, Nick. So CTDirect is our commercial offering for coiled tubing drilling, and it's been in the market for more than half a decade. So what it brings to the operators is a continuously oriented modern VHA. So why I say continuously oriented, because this generally is usually a high dogleg operation. Operators want to go short radius, go to the reservoir quickly, and then you need to be able to react very quickly because the BHA has inherent flexibility. The coil is flexible, and you can use your lose your orientation or lose your hold very quickly. So you should have that continuous orientation and also a very good control on the data and on changes in orientation. That brings you this full 3D directional geosteering capability. Then something that only the Schlumberger BHA provides is the real-time torque on bit and weight on bit measurement. And why is that important? Because in some of these drilling projects, we drill in a very hard zone. For example, the current project that we're executing is sort of basement drilling. It is very hard. It's more than 10,000 feet TBD in excessive temperatures. So you need to be able to see how much weight you're actually transferring to the bit and what is the torsion on the string. So you don't want to lose the component of BHA in the hole, which can be very painful in terms of fishing. So these measurements are very important and very critical in successful drilling. We offer natural gamma ray for lithology identification. And then if you're going under balance, another very important measurement you must have is the pressure. So the endless pressure and internal pressure to really understand what is the situation downhole. You do not want any surprises in terms of unwanted formation fluid showing up on surface. Shock and vibration is also a very important measurement because, as I mentioned, in harsh drilling conditions, if you are not able to control your rate of penetration and your drilling dynamics, you can have unwanted BHA or bed damage, and that can cause you premature tripping out of the hole. And gapping that is the tool face and directional orientation capabilities. Because you need a good survey. First of all, you need to understand where you are in the trajectory, and then you need good survey management to be able to calculate your TVD, calculate your landing in the reservoir, to understand how you're navigating the reservoir. So all of this make CTDirect a very advanced solution for our operators. We can offer this for temperatures up to 175 C. In fact, we have more than 10,000 hours of operation already performed, more than above 150 C, which shows that the tool is robust, and for pressures usually 10,000 psi.
So those are quite challenging environments that you're talking about there, particularly the temperature, and obviously pressure is a significant part of that. What kind of challenges are we talking about otherwise in terms of challenging drilling environments?
So, yeah, thank you. Great question. So challenges can be multiple. So when you talk about mature fields, you need to have good survey management. You need to have good and accurate DNI data, and you need to have good update rates. So you should be able to get that information very fast. So the Schlumberger CTDirect BHA offers you wireline telemetry. So that is fantastic update rate right away. It's not the conventional mud pulse telemetry, which where you have to wait for the signal and it has to be robust. And especially in underbalanced environment, the conventional mud pulse will not even work. So here, if you can get that data, that's great. If you're unable to get that data, that can be very challenging. Then, if you are doing short radius application, if you're landing those wells early, your BHA should be capable of handling that kind of fatigue and handling the stress. And this can be excessive. So we have successfully delivered wells for up to 45-degree dogleg. In fact, the BHA is rated for more than 50 degrees. Now, doing that continuously and over again for a number of laterals can be quite challenging. And then you mentioned high temperatures, right? So once you enter the reservoir, if you are already at 150 degrees C, and then you have to stay there for 2, 3, 4 days. Typically, that's how long these laterals take. The BHA will be able to should be able to take that fatigue and deliver the results that are needed.
So that you're talking there about the sort of technical benefits, and obviously they're quite significant. So being able to access reservoirs and also drilling in live wells. So what are some of the other benefits from the actual deployment of coiled tubing drilling that clients are seeing? Can you sort of talk a little bit about that, what those customer benefits are, the additional ones?
Sure. Thanks for bringing it up, Nick. So, an obvious advantage is the improvement in drilling performance, right? So we have been able to increase ROPs in limestone formations, more than 200 to 300%, and in sandstone formations more than 100%. And these sandstone, especially, are some of the toughest drilling applications in Middle East. So this BHA, that we have used in these operations, it brings unmatched resolution to the real-time drilling dynamics data. And secondly, it helps you take those decisions, in the blink of an eye, which, you can adjust your drilling parameters and your drilling trajectory. That can help you improve ROP and really get your, your capabilities from surface to the bit. So you can adjust your weight on bit, you can adjust your torsion, you can pull back up and go back down, and then really get that rate of penetration that you're looking for. Secondly, a lot of concern has been on reliability. So, inherently, this is a very slim, because it's a very slim BHA, it has inherent risks in terms of fatigue, in terms of breakage, and, when it's hardcore drilling operation, high TVTs, high temperatures, the electronics or the mechanical parts can give up quite early. So I'm very happy to say that Schlumberger has topped in the last 12 months any reliability and efficiency matrices our clients have put together, and we've been able to deliver the reliability and service delivery that our clients have desired. And then if you have this bi-directional control, you can get to navigate complex reservoirs. Sometimes you have to, once you enter and you do not encounter the layer, or there have been some changes because of, all this development in the past of the field, you may have to move quickly to get to the zone which is of interest. So this is where, our clients have been able to take those decisions.
So yeah, so that's the geosteering and the access to the reservoir that you're mentioning there. So obviously significant benefits, particularly in mature fields where, drilling slots are scarce and difficult to actually add additional new wells. So the importance of working over existing wells. So now it's the existing technology that we talked about. You mentioned before that's been around for a couple of decades, coiled tubing technology. So I guess the next big question is what's in the pipeline? So excuse the pun. What's coming up next in terms of technology development?
Right. So that's an interesting question, and I don't want to spill any trade secrets, but I will want to tell you what we are foreseeing in future. So one thing that I did not mention earlier. So we brought second generation MWD tool last year, and that's a tool that has these real-time capabilities on for dual LPD connection or dual real-time connection. So you can enable this to connect with with an LWD tool on the top of the BHA and on the bottom of the BHA. Now, we all are familiar with the word used triple combo for conventional drilling. Now, in coiled tubing drilling, there are no triple combos, so you do not get those measurements. We are working on some of these capabilities with our partners, and we hope to bring them out to the market, hopefully through ICOTA, and we will be able to announce them when they're ready. Some of them are in field tests, some of them are in engineering concept. So our vision is to bring out a modern coiled tubing drilling suite, where clients can not only navigate these challenging reservoirs with drilling capabilities, but also with logging and measurement capabilities. So the other thing that I would like to add on top of that is we are always, focusing on increasing our reliability. So we hope to bring out solutions in future that can modernize the fleet and also increase the modular and digitization capabilities, where most of this work is automatic and assigned to the software and surface system without manual intervention. So that can be done more intelligently remotely.
Thanks. So there you mentioned the reliability, the modularity, and the data acquisition, critical elements in modern day sort of drilling and workover operations. Maybe you can or can't say too much about this, but I always have a curiosity around automation. We hear a lot about automation in drilling operations. So, you know, can you say anything about sort of the future of what automation might look like around coiled tubing and underbalanced operations?
Sure. Yeah, thanks, this is a very important question, and I think as an industry, we're getting to a point where we have to take some important decisions about the workforce as well as our capabilities when it comes to navigating these challenging times. For coiled tubing, it used to be a very let's say human-intensive operation in terms of rigging up, in terms of execution, in terms of all the other aspects that the drilling has to go through. One thing I mentioned was the modular rig. So we could bring it up some other time, but if you can see that rig really getting itself up on its feet and then folding itself down for a move, that is a beautiful thing of present and future. Very little human interaction, and things are getting done on their own. It's one of the most modern pieces of hardware you can see. In terms of actual drilling, still some of the tasks are assigned to our people on the rig site, where they have to take decisions and then operate the DHA and the tools from surface. And this is probably the easiest part, which can be automated or digitized, where our software, we're currently working on those capabilities. The software is intelligent enough and it's getting the data that it needs to take those decisions on its own, based on a certain directive that is being fed to it, and also based on the intelligence system that has been trained on. So once we get those capabilities in, and it probably needs some more scale now, so for us to be able to take those decisions, I think that would be the lowest hanging fruit.
So that's great. I mean, it's a great, exciting future then to hear about and to imagine, how we can actually improve and make greater efficiencies and around these kind of operations, and obviously save clients money in terms of overall operational efficiency. So very exciting time to come for our industry, I imagine. So thank you. Thank you very much, Fahim, for sharing your time today and talking about underbalanced coiled tubing operations and CTDirect in particular. So very interesting. So thank you very much.
My pleasure. And Niels, thanks again to you and your team and the SPE Foundation for giving us the opportunity. ICOTA has been a very rewarding platform for Schlumberger. We have presented before, and we have been involved in all such capacities, and we would like to do that in the future as well.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing you at the ICOTA conference coming up 22nd, 25th of March. And there are more tech talks coming up next week leading up to the conference. So as we go ahead, looking at next week, we've got some great content around well-ranging intervention, proactive intervention methods and technologies, and transforming stimulation operations through well interventions. Now, you can catch all of that next week, so please join us next week on all around looking at those technical talks, and also catch more SPE Live content on demand, which you can view here, just spe.org. You can find all that great content there. And you can also watch this SPE Live Tech Talk also on demand now after the show. So once again, thank you very much for Fahim and to Schlumberger for today's show and sponsoring today's Tech Talk alongside SPE Foundation. Thank you to the audience. Thank you to Asha, our producer. It's been great having you all here joining us today. Wish you all a very pleasant rest of the day, and that's it for the rest. Thank you, and join us soon. Thanks. Bye.